Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account there. I'm your host, Rudo, and game time decision. Thought I was going to be solo tonight, but AJ, playing hurt a little bit today, shows up to the podcast like a real man. Gonna be answering a bunch of listener questions today on the show. Thank you everyone for submitting. We'll also be taking some from the live chat when we get there, but we do need to start out with a little bit of news from the Avalanche, and there's a question tied to this as well, which we will get to. But the Avs have officially signed both Jean-Luc Foudy and Alex Bocage to ELCs over the past couple of days. This is not a surprise, certainly not for Bocage at this point. They had to make decisions on him, and they still need to make a decision on Mutala as well as a couple of other guys in the next week or so, or they will become unrestricted free agents, essentially. I guess they'd still be 20, so they could re-enter the draft, actually, but not the point. We're talking about Foudy and Bocage here. Bocage is pretty straightforward. He will be 20. He will report to the Colorado Eagles next year. Yeah, he ends up playing for them, ends up playing for the Grizzlies, whatever. He will be in the Avs system professionally at that point. Yep. Foudy is a much more interesting conversation, and we actually got a question about this as well. In what would be the best options for his development path? If the AHL is not an option next year, do you think he could look at going overseas? This is a really hard question to answer right now because as it stands, as long as he's under contract with the OHL as it currently stands, he can't play overseas. He can't play in the AHL.
This is the same conversation we had with Byram a year ago, just without the COVID provision, which basically opened up the door for guys to go.
Yeah, because we saw Foudy go to Europe this year, but he only was allowed to do that because the OHL was essentially on pause. Under the current bargaining agreement, I suppose, he can't go to the AHL because he won't be 20. He just turned 19 a couple weeks ago in May. And the same thing stands for Europe. He's under contract with his OHL team. So he would have to either A, get out of that contract and get out of his OHL status somehow, or B, there would have to be a change somewhere along those lines, which it's pretty exceptional circumstance, to say the least, when you have a guy like Foudy who has played so well in the AHL as an 18-year-old. So maybe there's some opportunity for something to happen there.
Well, when that agreement expires this year.
Yep.
And so any conversation or any reworking of it could play a role in where he goes. But as of today, this very moment, the expectation is he just goes back to the OHL.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that's fine, honestly. Like
it's not the end of the world. Sure.
The big thing, it wasn't like he was such a dominant OHL player. This is not like Bo and Byram, who had already destroyed the WHL on multiple occasions. You know, like him going back to that league was stupid. Foudy going back to the OHL, there's still, you know, he had a good year in the AHL, but it wasn't like he was pushing for NHL time. It wasn't like he was ripping it up or anything. You know, it was a revelation. He was a surprise that he played as well as he did. It was a pleasant surprise. But there's still work for him to be done.
Yeah. I think part of this conversation is simply going to boil down as what you see as the best development path for him, specifically him. Because he's shown he can gain a lot from playing in the AHL, but that doesn't mean that he can't gain a lot from playing in the OHL, especially as you mentioned, the WHL. Look, he gets to play against men. He gets to play against a faster game. It's good. In the OHL, he gets to play against his peers, and he likely gets to dominate a lot, play a lot, and get quality situations where he can show just how good he is in relation to those players.
Yeah, like he was playing third line,
third-ish, yeah.
for the Eagles. And when he goes back to the OHL, he's going to be on their top line.
Yep.
So it's just going to give him more ice time, more opportunities, more situations for him to play in. It'll be okay. Doing it for another year will be fine. And it's a rare move for the Avs, the rare show of confidence in a guy that's not a first-round pick. Now granted, they've drafted a lot of college guys, so they haven't had to make ELC decisions until they thought they were pro-ready. But we haven't seen them sign a guy a year early in very many instances out beyond the first round.
Yep.
Their first round picks the last couple of years, all of the non college guys, they've signed immediately.
Yep.
But
you get into these second, third, fourth rounders, and it's usually like Bocage.
Yeah.
It's a week before the due date, and they're finally inking that paper.
Yeah. The one exception might have been Timmins.
Yeah, that's true. They signed him, I believe, after his first year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And he was as close to a first-round pick as you can physically be.
Yeah, well, and he was also allowed at 19. He was also able to get into the AHL
because of his birthday. Yep.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a different situation there.
Yeah. So the Foodie signing is a great show of faith from the organization, and look, Foodie earned that. Like, genuinely, he earned it.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, with his AHL play, they pay that man. A couple of questions from the chat here. I see Colin says, so who's left? Berzan, Mutala, and Minor by June 1st. Safe to assume that maybe two of them will get ELCs. We'll see. I think Mutala should for sure. Given his play, I don't know how he didn't earn one. Berzan, probably, if he stays in the organization, you can probably expect an AHL deal there. Minor's a weird one. He could earn an ELC. He's played obviously very well in the WHL this year, but the Avs all of a sudden have a glut of goaltenders in their system.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's a little bit of a weird spot there. Yeah, and as Bradley mentions here, a little bit more news for the Avs. Jason Magna put into COVID protocol in the NHL today. Okay. Obviously wish the best to him. Hope everything's okay.
You hope it's not something that leads to a legitimate outbreak, but
ask again tomorrow when the test results come back from everybody else, basically.
Until someone else goes on that list, I'm not worried.
Yep.
Just hope for the best for him.
And then we have a super chat, which I assume is from Michael. He just changed his name to Cygnus. What are the challenges recording at home versus recording at the bar? Are there aspects either of which you wish you could bring to the other? I wish I didn't have to commute to the bar. Can I just live at the bar? That'd be fine.
The drive. I have writing to do. Usually. I
have to drive home to do my post-game videos and things. Yep.
Yeah, so that's... We can't really read the chat when we're at the bar.
Yeah, that's true too.
It gets read to us, like super chats and stuff get read to us. But the bar is a ton of fun.
Yeah, bar's an absolute blast.
It's great to record at because all we have to do is sit down and record. We don't have to set anything up. We don't worry about lighting. We don't worry about, oh, is this working or is that working? I mean, we get to be the talent, and the production team gets to be the production team.
For the actual show, that's fair, but someday I'll get an actual setup at the bar for my game duties.
Yeah.
But beyond that, recording at the bar is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Recording at home is fine too. I have no problems with doing it at home either. But
yeah, I mean, don't have to wear pants when we're at home.
Exactly right. Yeah. Of course, you have at home sleeping dog right next to you all the time, which is always great. But of course, being at the bar, especially after the playoffs this last week, ooh, the bar is amazing.
The place was nuts.
Yeah, it was awesome. We can get a couple more questions here in period one. This one comes from Steven. After Coach Bednar, who's the most important / impactful staff member? And he lists Pratt, Bennett, Parkila, or Allard.
They all have different jobs.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because you have a guy working with the defense and the penalty kill, you have the guy working with the power play, you have the goaltending coach, and then you have the skills coach. I will say, you hear the players give a lot of praise to Sean Allard, especially when they're coming back from injury.
Yeah.
They say that he really helps them a lot. So take that for whatever you will.
I also think we're going to be nearing the point where Nolan Pratt starts getting head coach interviews pretty soon. His track record of working with young defensemen from Zach Werenski and Seth Jones in Columbus to all of the guys now that have rolled through Colorado. I think that we'll start to see his name pop up in some of the head coaching searches here in the near future.
Turns out when you build a good organization, people want your talent.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's only a matter of time until Chris McFarland gets the GM job somewhere.
Yep.
It's only a matter of time, I think, until Nolan Pratt gets a head coaching job somewhere.
There you go. You heard it here first. We'll take these two more chat questions and then take our first period break. When does waiting for your opponent become an issue? Rest or rust? I mean, that's the big question when you finish early, right? I don't think that the break will be so long. Even if Minnesota pushes the series to 7 tonight, I don't think the break will be so long that it becomes a significant issue for the Avs. But if they do push it to 7, you're looking at 8 days off for the Avs probably since their last actual game, which is not nothing. But
yeah, the big thing is that they'll be skating a lot in that time.
Yeah.
What really hurt them in the COVID breaks and why they're not really comparable is that they would come back from the COVID pause, they would skate one day and then they had to go play a game.
Having not skated for like 7 days in a row.
Like today they had a full practice. They will continue to full practice and keep up the tempo and keep the heart rate up. And like nothing can simulate the conditioning of being in an actual game, but they will be at it as hard as they can be until the next series begins.
And then obviously with guys like Newhook, who is good to go, by the way, a little bit extra time off certainly doesn't hurt there.
Yeah, and like whatever was bothering McKinnon at the end of the regular season.
Yep. That's
something that's a nagging whatever that he just gets to rest,
Luke with the super chat says, glad you're feeling at least okay. AJ was worried about you. If VGK wins tonight's series, start Thursday or Friday. Worry about Russ. We kind of already talked about that. Even if VGK wins tonight, you'd expect this series to start Saturday.
Can't imagine that they would start it tomorrow night in Denver.
Force Vegas to go back to back. That would be aggressive.
Would seem a little much.
Yep. I think Saturday would be the realistic start if Vegas closes it out tonight.
I think that's a smart play that would be a smart play by the NHL because you could, depending on what the other series do, you could feature that.
Yep.
Round 2 getting going,
Yep.
With
the start of round 2.
Your powerhouses, the two cup contenders.
Yep. As there's still on Saturday, I guess there's no guarantee for any games on Saturday, depending on how tonight goes. But
yeah,
have to wait and see there. Thank you for the super chat, Sasha. Much appreciated. Yep. Avs are at least practicing. They got that going while they wait around for other teams to finish out their first round. take our first period break there, as we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. Check them out at the DNVR bar, obviously. You can now get the seltzers and the, what are they called? I don't even actually know. The like lemonade, hard lemonades. They're not seltzers. They have their seltzers and they have like lemonade.
Like the Good Company ones?
Yeah, those ones. Anyway, they have...
they're just lemonade.
All right.
This is a great advertisement.
Yeah.
Really...
Look, if you want some kind of alcoholic drink, Breckenridge Brewery probably has you covered, is the point that I'm trying to make. Whether it be beer, seltzers, lemonade, they got you. You can get them at the DNVR bar. You can also get them at your local liquor store. Check them out online. Use their Breck Beer Locator online to find them near you. They're starting to get their more exotic beer flavors out across the nation as well. So I know for a while you can only get a couple of flavors. Check them again because they're starting to get their unique flavors out there. Also brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee, the CBD-infused coffee that has really changed lives. Been known to help with many different aches, pains, migraines, IBS, joint pain. Check them out. They do great stuff. They're super easy to use. Just drink your coffee like normal, and you get 25% off when you use code DNVR25 at checkout online. Of course, also sign up for a DNVR membership. Highly recommend. We're kind of cool over here. Got the awesome post-game coverage for you wall to wall as we do. You get crazy people like AJ trying to play hurt on the podcast just for all y'all. So that's got to be worth at least some kind of membership as he passes out over there. All right. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by that DraftKings Sportsbook. Yeah, let's get into a couple of more questions here. Has this been asked before? I don't know. What's the best Capri Sun flavor, AJ?
I couldn't even name one.
The Capri Sun ones? Those are the best ones?
The one that comes with the Lunchables.
Oh, there you go. That's the perfect one. And if you could have any rando Avs player's jersey, who would it be? This is always a weird question because I don't buy or wear jerseys anymore.
Same.
But like historically, I've always wanted a couple of specific jerseys, and that would be a 2001 Ray Bourque and a original Quebec Nordiques Forsberg. But
I have that one.
Oh, nice. I'll have to steal it from you. Thank you for the super chat, John. He asked, what is the status of Matt Calvert?
He's out long term.
Yep. He's been dealing with it all season, and it's going to continue to be a thing. Would not be someone I expect to return for the playoffs. Next question. Joey asks, should the MVP award be relooked at? Most Points already has its own award. Should we just automatically give Hart to the Art Ross winner? Excuse me. And should playoff performance be more of a factor, even if there is already a Conn Smythe?
No, there's already a Conn Smythe.
I agree.
You have an MVP for the postseason and an MVP for the regular season. It doesn't need to be looked at.
You don't think there's a little bit of looking at it? I agree they don't need to play playoff inclusion into it, but I do think at times it feels like who is the MVP of a decent hockey team?
So I think that it has to happen that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that unless there's an exceptional performance, like what we saw at Taylor Hall a couple of years ago, a 99-point season, or I think it was 99 points, it was something like that. It was a 90-plus point season out of a wing whose center had like 50 points.
Yeah.
And who hard carried a really, really mediocre team to an 8th seed. And on the other side, you had McKinnon, who is part of one of the best lines in the NHL, hard carried a team to the 8th seed. Those were their MVP candidates that year. Those were the top two, right?
Yeah.
So I think it should be. I think how good the team is matters. Like, I think that, you look at the top of the table this year. You look at, well, okay, is there an obvious MVP candidate from Vegas? I don't think
really.
I don't think there is.
Unless you want to have the Fleury conversation.
Yeah, which, there's a separate award for goaltenders.
Yep.
So I think unless it's a truly
legendary level,
like an insane performance, kind of like what we saw out of Hellebuck last year.
Yeah.
Because look, if you take Fleury out of Vegas, they lose a couple more games, but they're still in the postseason because they have Robin Lehner and because it's still, it's still a quality team. You take a guy like Hellebuck out of Winnipeg. First
nowhere.
of all, they sure as hell don't sweep Edmonton, but they don't make they will struggle significantly more to make the postseason every year.
Yep. And
so it's like, okay, well, what about how do you determine value to a team? Because Hellebuck is more important to the Jets than, say, McKinnon is to Colorado.
No doubt.
As we saw down the stretch, as the Avs smoked teams.
Sans McKinnon
at the very end of the year, and they were fine. Like, okay, well, Colorado could still easily beat the bad teams without Nathan McKinnon.
Yep.
So I'm what is value? And it's a vague, it's intentionally vague because everybody is going to view it differently, and that goalpost is always going to be moving.
Yeah.
It's always going to be moving. You're never going to get the same argument every year. I don't know why you would want that. It's a different argument every year because every year is different.
A couple things. First of all, every year is different, but there are years like this one where you get 100-point season out of Connor McDavid in 53 games.
Yeah, like this is an easy conversation. The heart doesn't need to be rethought because Connor McDavid had an all-time great regular season. It's a regular season award for that reason because you can reward that guy. He won't win the Conn Smythe, clearly. And maybe anecdotally, maybe some people will decide that he's not the best player in the game because the Oilers are not very good.
And then my other side of this is we had another kind of relevant question also looking at the Norris Trophy. We've talked about this one before. There's certainly evidence in the past of this trophy that, first of all, it's been awarded as like a career achievement award to a couple of guys.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's hard to define what good defense is exactly. The award has often been called it's the best defenseman that actually produces, not necessarily the best defensive defenseman.
Yeah, well,
so
I don't. Do you happen to have the actual wording of it in front of you?
I can pull it up if you give me a couple of seconds here, but this is a weird award, right? Because a lot of the times you have no problems with how it's awarded. Like Hedman got it last year, I believe, and it was like, yeah, okay, totally fine.
Yeah, well, and then this year, because he's Hedman, he's in that conversation. And it's like, okay, well, if you actually start to look at the numbers and you start to dig into things, you'll see that he wasn't one of the top 5D in the NHL.
Yep. It's kind of how it goes. The official wording is the NHL's top defensive player who demonstrates throughout the season the greatest all-round ability in the position.
Okay, so that's the wording. Then I really don't want to hear any of this whining about how it's only given to guys that score points. It says right in there, all around.
Yep.
All right. So if you can't be mad that the award isn't going to a guy who scores 17 points.
True.
Like there are guys out there we had almost multiple 50-point seasons this year despite 56 games. There were a handful of guys that pushed the 50-point barrier. Like, that's where you start because it's all around. It's why it's also why the all around part of it is why you aren't giving consideration to Tyson Berry. Yep. Because you start at the guys who, okay, here are all the guys who produced a bunch of points. Now, who had a great defensive season out of those guys? You start, okay, you're looking through, you're like, oh, Adam Fox's numbers were crazy this year. Oh, Cale Makar's numbers were crazy this year. Oh, Dougie Hamilton had a great year. Chris Letang had a great year. Shea Theodore had a great year. Oh, Tyson Berry was only good on offense. Victor Hedman's defensive numbers were way down. They weren't anywhere as good as they have been in the past. Okay, well, and that's how you just start picking guys off. It's all around.
Yep.
Now, if there's a guy out there who has the greatest defensive season that you can ever imagine, but he only has 35 points, well, then I think you should give that guy some consideration. But given that the wording of the award is all around, you can't look at it and say, oh, well, this guy's see, the Erik Karlsson thing is garbage because he put up good defensive numbers. His underlying numbers were great. Yep. And if you watched the game and you said, well, my eye test says that he's a bad defender, but then at the end of the game, he's on the ice for 3 shots against and his team had 15, you can't make any kind of an argument that he played bad defense.
Yeah.
So you go and you look at the years where Karlsson was winning, and not only was he scoring up in the point per game range, which was a big separator for him because
nobody was in that ballpark.
Yeah, he was significantly better offensively.
And I mean, just with the way the game has developed defensively, now more than ever, defensemen are better all around. And there were defensemen over the years that have been great on offense and defense, but every team has one now, right? And, they're not all unbelievably special like Cale Makar, but yeah, Minnesota has a Matt Dumba. You go all the way around the league. Chris Letang, these days, he's not quite as good defensively. Was never great defensively, but used to be EK like you talked about. You go to St. Louis with what used to be Pietrangelo. Now Parayko, even if he had a down year, still plays a two-way game quite well. It's what used to be, a handful of guys in the entire league that could do that. It's now there's almost one on every team.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more competition for that award in that regard than there has ever been.
I don't think that the Norris is anywhere near as big of a problem as it gets made out to be. But I do think that, we saw Drew Doughty won it one year because everybody, a lot of the writers who voted on the award that year had already decided Drew Doughty was going to win it.
Yep.
So the fact that Drew Doughty went out and had a solid year. He had a really good year that year.
It was good enough just to confirm what they were going to do.
Yeah, it was a good case study of confirmation bias because a lot of those guys said, "Oh, I think Drew Doughty should have won it last year. If he has a good year next year, I'm going to vote for him."
Yep.
And that's what happened. So I think also you have to build a reputation.
Right.
Like Jacob Slavin's never going to win it. But Jacob Slavin also shouldn't win it just because it's an all-around trophy and he doesn't score enough offensively.
Maybe make a case for like Vlasic at his peak could have been in the conversation a little bit more. Guys like that. Yeah.
Same thing though, just didn't score enough. And like if the conversation becomes there should be a defensive defenseman award, then it's like, okay, how many is too many points?
Yeah.
Now you're gonna punish a guy because he does score 30 points. That would be
I definitely
whole
don't
other
think the NHL needs any more individual awards. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Some rapid fire questions from the chat here. If the Vegas series goes 7, the Avs series with whoever wins that series would likely start on Monday or Tuesday.
You could see maybe a Sunday start.
No, because the game 7 would be Saturday, wouldn't it? No, I guess it'd be Friday. So yeah, you can start Sunday. So Sunday or Monday probably. Yeah, best class in WoW is whichever one Blizzard decides to buff that month. How long does it take you to memorize raid mechanics? I know them before we even step in the raid because someone's got to keep you nerds in line, Cygnus.
I mean, I watched for 9.0, I watched all the videos and like I watched them.
Yeah.
But you don't, the way that I learn is by getting my face kicked in. So
you have to experience it. You
Yeah.
have to do the thing to really get to know them for sure. Reseeding is the semifinal, so the final 4 is when the reseeding will happen.
Yeah.
What's it going to take to get Byram back in?
An injury,
probably. Given they just swept the team with this defense.
Yeah. And look, they like the lack of trust with Timmins. He's on a short leash.
Sure.
So the injury is easiest answer, but look, if Timmins goes out there and really struggles, then maybe. The biggest concern with Byram at this point is that he hasn't played a competitive game in 2 months.
Yep.
That's easily the biggest concern. Which is why I was making the argument for the 11-7, because you could have gotten over that hump. But now that hump still exists, and that's fine.
Is what it is.
Yep.
Let's see. All right. I don't think AJ has an answer for this question, but I think we could use some more hot takes in general. What is the spicy fire you're willing to stand by currently? I'm not going to say I 100% believe in this take, but I'm going to say that today, right now, Sidney Crosby is not a top 5 player in the league.
Give me your top 5 then.
McDavid, McKinnon, Matthews, and then it gets hard to not say Crosby after that. I think there's probably an argument for Patrick Kane. I'm assuming we're not including goaltenders because then you just say Vasilevsky and it's easy. But
no, I'm just saying top 5. Who are your top 5 players?
If you're counting goalies, I'd throw Vasilevsky in there.
You think Vasi's that good?
Yeah, I think he's better than Sidney Crosby right now today. Over his career, obviously not, but today.
Yeah. I mean, over the career, we're talking Sidney Crosby is the top 3 player
of all
ever.
Time. Yeah,
like, but where he sits today, Sasha Barkov is not in that top 5 for me.
Definitely not.
Yeah, Draisaitl. I don't know that I'd have Draisaitl in my top 5. He wouldn't if I didn't. He'd be probably 6 or 7. Like, he's awesome.
Marner, I wouldn't put up there. Draisaitl, I wouldn't put up there. Kucherov, I mean, he was injured all year, right? So it's hard to really say this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a couple of years, Makar could be in that argument for sure. Rudo,
yeah, I don't even know who I would have as like who's your best defenseman in the NHL today.
Yeah, that'd be a tough conversation.
Yeah, I would really struggle.
Not Yossi,
because like Hedman had a down year.
Yep.
Come on, Nikita Kucherov had hip surgery. The guy was hurt.
He was legitimately hurt for the majority of the season, regardless of what they did for the last 2 weeks of the year or whatever.
Yeah, well, and regardless of them waiting to get the surgery, the guy had hip surgery.
Yeah. Yeah, John Carlson, definitely not the best D in the league, despite his quality offense. Yeah, I'm not sure. That'd be a tough conversation. It does feel a little bit like the defensive landscape of the NHL is kind of in a changeover period.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a changing of the guard where
the Makars and
Fox,
Haskinens and Foxes of the world are coming up. Yeah,
those guys are all gonna be, maybe even a year from now. Those guys are all gonna be these guys are easily the best in the NHL.
Yep.
Like, which guy had the best year this year? You know, I think it starts with Makar and Fox.
Yep.
Fox is great, but the big separator, just from having watched both of them a lot, is that Makar just does things that other guys can't do.
Straight up.
Like Adam Fox is really, really good, but Makar is just,
he doesn't regularly murder people's ankles at the blue line.
Like the things that Makar can do, that he's physically capable of, that we see him do and try. It's just like Adam Fox just can't do some of that stuff.
Rudo, Monaco thoughts. I'm just happy that someone not named Lewis Hamilton is leading the Drivers' Championship. That's the dream, baby.
You don't like greatness?
It's his time is over.
Greatness is boring, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't need Mercedes to win another championship in a row. All right. It's Verstappen's time.
Do you know his contract is?
It expires next year, doesn't it?
I don't. I mean, do you know how much he makes?
Oh, it's like it's some obscene amount of money. I don't know the exact amount. We can find out, I'm sure. Lewis Hamilton contract. Let's see.
Because those guys make such a crazy amount of money.
Oh yeah, the drivers make stupid money. It's not even funny. Yeah, I don't. It looks like they didn't release officially what it exactly was.
Yeah, the hot Australian guy that I've decided to adopt, whose name I can't remember. 55 million.
Ricardo, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I think Hamilton's the same.
And it's like, wow.
And Hamilton's is a 1-year deal. Anyway, I think F1 is dope.
I just don't have time. I'm too invested in tennis.
Yeah, you gotta pick your loves outside of the big four for sure. You only get so many.
Well, and living in a city that has a big four.
Yeah, like where you have all four.
Yeah. Well, and then you also you work for a company that covers all of them, and then there's also the college sports to consider, because you want to be supportive of the college sports. And so, next thing you know, although we are very anti-Buffs on our show, just purely to change it up.
Someone's got to. Well, we don't really root for the Rams either, but
yeah, we just don't talk trash about them, because it's like beating up the little kid at this point. Like, when the Rams are good, we'll talk trash about them and root against them. But when they're not, I don't have anything to say. Yeah, Rafa's gonna win the French.
Big,
really going out on a limb there.
Yeah. Is Rudo a car guy, or I just like F1? I am absolutely not a car guy in the least. I don't know anything about cars. I just drive fast. All right.
I will say we are in a golden age of racing movies.
Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit before.
Yeah, I don't know that we talked about it on the show, but I know we definitely have talked about this privately.
Yeah, maybe that was off the show. I don't know. I don't remember.
This is a golden age of racing movies.
Yes, agreed. One more question before our second period break here. Favorite board game? Does D&D count as a board game?
That's a tabletop.
Close enough. I guess card games aren't really board games.
I hate card games.
Really?
I hate them, dude. I played Hearthstone for all of 20 minutes one time and was like, "Yep, I hate this."
Not like that, like poker.
I hate that
games.
too.
Okay,
Yeah. I just don't like. I've never liked card games.
fair enough.
They just have never appealed to me in any way. I don't have the brain for it. For whatever reason, man, it just doesn't do it for me.
All right,
I just don't know why.
I guarantee Monopoly is not. AJ's not a fan at the moment.
These two idiots. It was so funny how many people tweeted at me and were like, "Oh, we used to play this sounds like the games of Risk that I played in college." And I'm like, "You had intense games of Risk?" I used to play it with my brother, but they were never intense.
Were you a fan before Drive to Survive? Yes. So much like the same reason I ended up getting into the GSL is when you have a whack sleep schedule and you're just up in the middle of the night, things like F1 are on. So
yep, this is also some of the appeal of tennis.
Yep.
Oh, they're playing some random tournament in Romania. Well, I'm awake.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you just end up watching stuff like that. I do really like Munchkin. It was great. Small World, just the pretty standard board games. I'm not too into it. I try to play stuff like Terraforming Mars, and it's like this is way over my head, to be honest.
I really liked Stratego.
Ooh, okay.
From way back when I was young.
Yeah.
That was one I was a big fan of that one.
Code Names. It's a good one.
Dude,
I was awful at Battleship. I'm just not
a
human being.
I liked it. It was just like, okay, whatever. Settlers of Catan was cool.
Yeah, Settlers of Catan is cool.
I always liked that one. I always wanted to play the Game of Thrones one, but I was told it was super complicated. So I just let it be.
Golf is cool, but that's definitely
if you guys are into golf, we have a golf league that we could use some people signing up for.
Yeah, get signed up. Come play 9 holes every week for 8 weeks, is it? That you can win some stuff with our golf bros. You play 8 different courses around the Denver. It's like even a little bit further than the Denver metro area. But it's a bunch of awesome courses. You can play 9 holes, compete in the league. Highly recommend it. If the Avs didn't have a really good chance of running through the first couple weeks of the league, I would be in it, but they do. So I unfortunately can't play. Which makes me very sad.
Yeah, I actually considered it as well. If it had been, I could bust out the clubs and you guys could all learn my secret talent that I used to be good at golf.
Yeah. You have one more hole in one than I do. So
yeah, I used to really like Clue as my board game, and then I won on the very first turn
with the YOLO guess.
Because it was just a perfect set of circumstances between my cards, my combination.
What was out there?
I was the last of the 4 of us to go.
So you just had enough info.
Yeah. I was able to just piece it together where I had a 50-50 chance of getting one of them right, but I knew the other 2 pieces. So I guessed it on the first turn, and I never played a Clue again after that.
That was that. We do have to take our second period break here, as we are brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. And this week, they are giving you a chance to turn $5 into $200. 40-1 odds on any playoff basketball game. All you have to do is pick any team that is still in the hunt for the trophy. And if that team wins, you receive $200 in credits. Any team in the playoffs, whoever you want. You got a good read. You think Luka Doncic can completely dominate the Lakers by himself? Pick him. Go get yourself $200.
Dominating the Clippers right now, so why not?
Right. Exactly. He can just beat everyone by himself except for Jokic, so it'll be fine. DraftKings, again, they have the amazing odds boost every single day. Even if basketball is not your thing, you can bet on hockey, baseball, football as well. They have whose Broncos are best odds to get Aaron Rodgers on there right now, right? Yeah. I haven't looked in a bit, but
last time I saw they were actually minus 140.
Ooh, them's pretty likely. So if you want to bet on that, you can even get in on the football trades. All at DraftKings Sportsbook. Super safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw at your convenience. Download the top-rated app now and use code DNVR when you sign up. Make sure you use the DNVR code to get that opportunity to turn $5 into $200 in free credits when you bet on a basketball team of your choice to win their next game. It's for a limited time only at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. We're also brought to you by Solace Meds, where you can get 20% off when you use code DNVR20. Check out online for pickup at one of their 4 locations in Colorado. You can get it all set up and just roll on down there to get it done. AJ's mad about something.
Just shoot it, Barzell.
Whatever. Your aisles are doing fine.
Oh, yeah.
Get that 20% off. They also have special offers coming up on Memorial Day. You can get buy 3, get 1 free in their entire store, as well as select products, 20% off on top. So go to Solace Meds, hit up one of their 4 locations, or if you happen to be in Oklahoma, they have 2 locations there as well. Check them out. Get your CBD, cannabis, all that type of products. Yeah, that's all I got. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I think I know the answer to this question, and AJ and I are going to have to fight. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, I was an NSYNC kid.
Yeah, well, you spent a lot of your childhood being wrong about stuff.
Well, he's not wrong, but so did you, so that's
okay. You NSYNC and a Zerg player. It's amazing we became friends.
Wow. See, the thing is, I like the Backstreet Boys too. I was not one of the like.
Oh, see, there were NSYNC songs that I liked.
Okay.
And it was really just an appreciation of JT's talent.
He's the one that made it out of that whole bunch, isn't he?
He's insane, dude. Although you gotta give some credit to the Backstreet Boys because they just made an album, like a new one, recently, and it's so good. So, where you at, NSYNC?
Can't go wrong. Yeah, NSYNC's never getting back together. That's not happening.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Did you ever win at Clue, Rudo? No, I sucked at Clue. Cygnus wants to know when you got your ace, AJ.
Oh, I was pretty young. I was playing with my dad and grandpa. So that gives you an idea, as both of them are no longer with us. It was a long time ago. I was 15.
Some people are just born lucky.
Yeah. I mean, I made that shot.
Personally, are you hoping the Wild win tonight, or do you just want to get round 2 going?
But based on my personal issues of the last few days,
ask again if he's healthy tomorrow.
please, Minnesota. Yeah. Really though, I've wanted Vegas all year, but if it ends up Minnesota, I'm also okay with that. He did not just do that, bro, for the hat trick.
Easy life.
And you missed the empty net. They better finish this.
Oh, they're fine. Excuse me. Which Avs players end the playoffs with the best playoff beard? Rank the top 3. Chat, we might need your help with this.
Grubauer.
Grubauer will have a great one. New Hooks is quietly pretty good.
His is so solid. Like he looks like a middle management
straight up
in an office space type setting already.
Yep. Definitely not Kale. As AJ celebrates the Isles getting to round 2. The dream is dead. Landy does have a good Viking beard. No
Oh
argument
yeah,
there.
Landy's got a good one too. Yeah.
I don't know about Comfer. I ain't buying whether you're selling on Comfer. Ooh. Can Taves grow a beard? I don't even know. Anyway.
Yeah. I got one more. It's one more first round prediction I got right.
Put him in the bag.
I called it in 7, so I didn't give him enough credit.
Oh, how dare you?
I got the Islanders and Boston both correct.
Here's another question that I was kind of gearing more towards myself. Have you watched any World Championship games? I have not, and it's the best feeling in the world because
It's so funny you say that. I was just telling Z that the World Championships were going on and that we now live in a world where we just don't
have to care about them at all. Because like when I got my start actually covering the team, like one of the ways I found inroads was like, oh, I'll be the guy that covers all the Avs at Worlds because the Avs sucked and they were guaranteed to send like 5 dudes.
Yeah, and I was always so frustrated because it was like, how is it that you guys have a good enough roster to fill out all these international teams, but you can't win games in the NHL?
Yeah. That's
but every year when the World Championships rolls around, or even when the Olympics would roll around, well, 5 dudes, off they go.
Yep. Wait a minute. Hold on here. Couple more questions here. We kind of answered these a little bit before, but we can go over them again quickly. Can you explain rules of ELCs to you? So they're pretty straightforward. I'll roll some basics.
I would ask, what's the specific question
This
of an
was
ELC?
Asked on Twitter, so we're not going to get a follow-up. But the quick rules are the term is based on the age of signing. They can either be 3, 2, or 1 years. As they get older, they get shorter. The maximum base salary is $925K. There are bonuses available. That's basically all you need to know.
Yep. The ages is 21 and under are 3-year ELCs. And what is it? 22?
I believe 22 and 23 are 2 years. And then 24, it becomes a 1.
Yeah. 24, 25, and 26 are all 1.
And after that, you're just a free agent.
Yep. You're just a UFA.
Yeah, definitely not Gerard's beard. I think Kadri grows a pretty decent beard, actually. Sorry, I'm still thinking about this question. Can Saad grow a beard? I don't actually know. Donskoy definitely not. Mikko definitely not. Not sure. Not sure. In any case, next question. Again, we can be quick with this one. We've talked about it a lot. Go check out some of our older shows. With a lot of contracts coming up at the end of the season, is there any way the Avs can still sign Grubauer? Yes. They're going to have to make some decisions.
Yep.
Whether it be maybe Saad doesn't come back or maybe somewhere else something gets cut. It also depends on how much Grubauer really wants. We've talked a lot about a $6 million deal being perfectly reasonable for him. So is there a way? Yes, absolutely. What is the path to get there? We'll see.
The reality is that they have $24 million.
Kale and Landy are projects 1 and 2.
Yeah. And I think my bet right now is that Cale Makar has a bridge deal coming his way.
Definitely possible. I wouldn't do it, but
I mean, that's the smart play for him.
Make more money.
Yeah. Why would you sign an 8-year deal? Why would you sign a 6-year deal when the first couple of years of that are going to be flat cap?
Yeah. In a couple of years, the cap could be knowing
that in years 4, 5, and 6, certainly 5 and 6, and then beyond.
Catapult, yeah.
That guy is going to be considered wildly underpaid.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So I guess that's my off-season hot take is that Cale Makar gets a bridge deal.
There you
go. He gets a 3-year deal at $7.5 million, and that opens up the money so that they can easily sign Landeskog to his 7x7, and then they can sign Grubauer to his 6x6.5, and then you're locked in to this team. These are your ride or die.
And you just solve the problem when Cale's deal is up, basically.
Yeah. You don't necessarily want to do that, but that keeps him at least as an RFA.
Yep.
And that gives you, it gives you time, flexibility, options, all kinds of stuff. So for me, that's where I think this maybe the smart play is headed.
All right, we got Vegas puck drop just happened. We can take a couple quick more questions from chat if y'all have some. Where do you see Josty's contract coming in?
Ryan Hartman's deal.
1.6-ish.
Yep.
Somewhere.
If you can get it at 3 years, you've done a great job.
Yep. Anywhere around there, I think would be pretty perfect. Somewhere over 1.5 would be my guess.
Yeah.
If Saad takes a 4x4, you slam dunk that into the basket.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to take it necessarily, though. But
we'll see.
I mean, I'd be surprised if he just takes it without testing the market. How about I put it that way?
Maybe. I mean, again, he may really, really like it here.
That's true.
That's a dude that understands. Like he's been making $6 million for the last several years.
Does JTC stay at 2C for the next round?
No. Even if he starts there, there will be fluidity.
I think your tweet summed it up. The oh yeah, you blend tweet pretty much summed up the 2C spot for the Avs going forward.
Straight up. Okay, I guess Barkov just doesn't want to shoot. What are you doing?
If the Avs don't win a cup, do they just let Grubes walk and let these young goalies go? If win or lose, letting Grubes walk is an option for the Avs.
Yep. They have to draw a financial line in the sand, and there will be enough guys out there. Everybody loves to talk about Chris Dredger, but there will be enough guys out there that they can, they could say,
we like our options. Go back to the well in Washington and do it again.
To be honest with you, I think you have to love what you have in Grubauer right now, but I think the smartest play would be to understand that you can get a guy from Grubauer's situation every couple of years. But you have to be comfortable with uncertainty at goaltender.
Yep.
Because you're rolling the dice with that.
And yeah, the Avs internal options are not ready. Full stop.
Oh yeah, totally. Let's not even talk about Justus Annunen as an option for the Avalanche because he's not. He will be in the AHL, and then he's got to do some work there first. He has a lot of work to do before.
James says, if the Avs do the thing, do they try to get EJ on the cup? If in a universe where the thing happens, we have a whole show that we want to talk about that. And hard yes. I think EJ would be a lock to be on the cup pretty much no matter what.
Yeah.
So
there's no way.
Yep.
There's no way they would not put Eric Johnson's name on the Stanley Cup after everything he's given to the organization.
Pretty much. That one's pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, 3 years would keep Makar as an RFA.
Yep.
If they wanted to do that, he could take a 3-year, a 2-year, whatever.
Yep. He didn't earn his first year burned on an ELC. He didn't earn any time towards UFA status, so he would still have 2 RFA years remaining.
Yep.
At the end of that 3-year bridge deal.
So, yeah, we'll have to see how things go. Oh, I think it's probably about time we get out of here. We can go watch this Vegas Minnesota game and see.
There's no way. There would be no way that Eric Johnson would be the first person that Landy hands it to.
Not a chance.
He's handing that thing to Nathan McKinnon.
Yep. Definitely to McKinnon.
And then after that, it's open for interpretation.
It's real interesting after McKinnon for sure.
Yeah. Ranta was placeholding for an Alex Newhook at practice today. Alex Newhook will be ready for the start of the second round. Barring any other injuries, I don't think we have to worry about Sampo Ranta sneaking into the lineup yet.
I think something crazy would have to happen to get Ranta into the lineup, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, the two injuries that they had.
Sure. That
in game 4 had those Newhook and Belmar
on COVID,
and then Megna on COVID
for sure.
That's exactly the formula for that happening.
Yeah,
but because Belmar and Newhook will be ready to go for the start of round 2, you're back at you need to wait for some of these guys.
Yeah, no doubt. In any case, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you for watching, listening, however you consume the pod. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. That helps that a ton. I know our schedule's been a little all over the place the past couple of days, but we appreciate it.
That's my fault. Sorry.
It's not his fault. People get hurt sometimes. You got to play hurt sometimes. It's the way it goes. We should be back on schedule, hopefully pretty soon here. We'll see how we do. If AJ's still feeling good, he'll be back. If not, maybe you'll see Evan on the show. Keep tuning in, and of course, whatever happens, by the time round 2 is ready to rock, we'll be here chatting with you. So until next time, we will talk to you all later.